I wonder how this is going to end up sounding because I just sort of stumbled upon something that it's not surprising to me that it exists, but I had not really gone looking for it, nor had I played with it prior to now. I've certainly never tested this out, but I'm recording with it, and I toned it down as much as I could because it was a little heavy at one of the presets. I'm talking about a de-esser. S makes the S's a little less sharp in the audio. And yeah, I was just toying around with the equalizer. I record the audio. When I'm recording it, I record on GarageBand. And then when I'm processing it to, well, make it sound even better, and then, edit to release with the video or as audio alone, I use Audacity. I don't fuck with the noise gate on GarageBand. Like, the stock noise gate is dog shit on GarageBand. It's so choppy. It's not good. But de-esser, I've never used it before. I'm using it now, and I adjusted it so it was only slight, just to take a little bit of the edge off. Because at first, with the first preset, it was like really dull. It sounded fucking weird. Like it was like, I wouldn't want to say like butter, because when you say it was like butter, that implies that it's good, but it wasn't good. It just dulled the edge too much. And if there's one thing I like, it's a little bit of edge, Unless it's a knife, then you need a lot of edge. Depending on what kind of knife you're using, you don't want too much edge because, when you take a microscope to the edge of a blade, it's actually a bit jagged. And if you make it too smooth, it actually like kind of sticks, especially to flesh, whatever you're cutting. So you want these little tiny like microscopic jagged bits. And that's what makes a knife cut smoothly to break the cell walls. You need just that microscope jagged to break a cell wall of an onion. Because if it's too smooth, it just won't cut, which is fucking bizarre. Like, a knife can be too sharp. And a razor. Although I wonder what a sharpness of a razor is, because you can use a razor on dough if you're cooking, a loaf. But if you use a knife, it's just going to stick to the dough. Although if you don't really need a knife, if you're making a nice focaccia. Is it focaccia or focaccia? Focaccia. Fuck you. Welcome. Oh, wait, I got to sing the song. This is a variety show with no particular niche, baby. It's always about hanging out. Maybe we'll laugh at some stuff. Maybe we'll learn something new. But it's always about hanging out, me and you. Welcome to That Thing with James. I'm your host, James. And with me today is the guest today is you. That's my nice way of saying that I yet again have no guest. It's a solo, dude. I'm going in solo. I'm going in raw. I've got nothing prepared. I've started later. This whole setup process, it was one of those things where shit just kept going wrong. This whole fucking morning was one of those things where shit just kept going wrong. Because last night I didn't get a lot of sleep. I'm recording this on November 6th. So it's the first day of fall back. I've quote unquote got an extra hour, but I really didn't get an extra hour because I was up cleaning dog shit and piss out of the carpet and out of a floor mat as well as I could. And it stunk. So this morning I had to run a bath mat through the laundry. I had to, vacuum up to prep for the real job of shampooing the carpet, because I've got a carpet shampooing machine, just like a Bissell thing. And that's a whole process. It's not an easy process. The most difficult part of the process is taking it apart once you're done using it, because it's gross. There's just like, no matter how well you vacuum the carpet, there will still be hair and dirt in the carpet, and that shampooer will pick it up and it'll all get caught in the spokes. And you can't just like, take apart the brushy spoke things, the brushy wheels. You can't take it apart that easily unless you want to bust out a screwdriver, which I don't want to fuck with that. And it's heavy, so I have to like pick it up and try to rinse it out like under the faucet in the tub and then clean out the tub, blah, 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 blah. And not only that, I've got a fucking, a Swiffer mop thing that we had to use to, try to get the stink out of the fucking linoleum in the bathroom, because at least the dog had the decency to run to the bathroom to, shit everywhere, although he didn't quite make it all the way there for all of it. But the smell was there, so we had to, mop that up. Even though I'd already like disinfected it and, rubbed it by hand with like, paper towel and shit. But it still stunk. So I'm like, all right, we got to do the flat Swiffer mop thing to try to, really get the smell out, really scrub this fucking thing. Well, somehow the head, like the flat head where you put the mop pad, fucking ended up behind the washing machine and dryer, and that shit was hard to move. I tried to move the washing machine a little bit. Oh, and it's an old piece of shit that we're renting, and the fucking, like the little feet at the bottom of the thing that you can like screw left or screw right to raise up or down to try to keep the machine level. It's just fucking like totally bent out of place. Because it's an old piece of shit, and it should have been able to scoot, but I just looked at it wrong, and the foot on the right closest to me just said, "I'm going to wilt. I'm going to faint like a fainting goat." So then I had to get a stick because I didn't want to try to move the machine anymore and fuck it up anymore. So I had to go get a stick and try to fish out the head from this old tight quarter, and I couldn't even fit my head back in behind, at least not while I was wearing my glasses. But if I wasn't wearing my glasses, I wouldn't be able to see anything, so I had to like fit and move shit around. And finally, after like 5 minutes, I fished the head out with a stick. And then I'm like, all right, I got some cardboard and I folded it up to, put up under the washing machine, because now it was all wobbly and off center. So I had to put that in center. And then I got to go and, do the whole shampooing thing and everything. And then, the bath mat that was in the washing machine had been in the dryer, and I'm like, okay, it should be done now. But this is an old piece of shit dryer that we are also renting. And, after one load, it was still damp, and they tend to still be damp after one run through the dryer, which is bullshit. The dryer just doesn't really dry that well. So I ran it through a second run on high heat, and guess what? They were still damp. So I started a third run in the dryer, and I just said, fuck this. This is a waste of electricity. It's no wonder my electric bill has not gone under triple-digit dollars this whole fucking year. Like every year prior, about half the year, it's only double digits, maybe up to 90 on really hot summer or something. But it used to be energy bill was only 2 digits, but now it's never less than 3 digits, and it's like never less than $130 something. And it's not like my energy consumption has changed at all. I'm pretty fucking mindful. Like, I've got all these lights on for this podcast here, but guess what? They're like pretty decent, like nice LED. I don't want to spend $60 for some fucking light bulbs like Philips Hue. So I got the Sylvania, like $30 pack of 4. And I really like them. And the cool thing about these new LED light bulbs is they cost like, what, half a penny, if that, even if you keep them on the entire fucking year, which, by the way, if you leave it on, they won't go out. It's great. I'm very mindful about my energy consumption and everything, yet the bills just keep fucking growing. How's a guy supposed to fucking live? And I say that just not for myself, but for you as well. For fucking all of us. They're robbing us, those motherfuckers. It's time for a communist revolution. I said it. I said it. Marx was right. I'm out. I'm out, people. I'm out on the street. Come at me. Where you at? Watch this spot. This will be the fucking base of the revolution because we're sick of paying fucking triple digits for just fucking existing and you know, getting punished for fucking living. That's not even what I wanted to talk about today. What I wanted to talk about was something completely different, and I think I'm just gonna fucking leave everything I just talked about behind because it just kept getting more fucking complicated this whole morning and early noon, even into getting this whole setup. Like the second I sit down to, you know, get room tone so I can get a nice audio quality for you, fucking ghetto bird starts flying overhead for who knows how long, so I have to wait for that to pass. But first, before I get into today's actual subject, did you know I have a Patreon where you can get full access to all bonus episodes of this podcast? And that includes the one that came out today. And by today, I don't mean on the day that I'm recording this episode, because after I'm done recording this very episode right now, the one I'm talking to you in, I'm going to record a bonus episode because I always, since I started it, doing bonus episodes, I always record a bonus episode right after I record the free episode, and I release them on the same day. Sometimes I might, just depends on how much bullshit I have to deal with. I may be able to get the bonus episode out a day early, but if not, it will come out at the same goddamn time as the free episodes. So, long way of saying, help support the show. Help support the show at patreon.com/ThatThingWithJames. It doesn't cost much. $5 to get you in the door, and that will also get you full access to all bonus episodes. And if you want to join some of the other tiers that are available, you can also get shout outs, a text shout out, a verbal shout out. And at the top tier, I offer an exclusive service. I will handwrite and snail mail to you a personal thank you letter thanking you for your support. So help support the show. Patreon.com/ThatThingWithJames and get access to bonus episodes while we're on the business end. Go check out my comedy short shorts. I just released one last week. By the time this episode comes out, last week I released the latest installment of Minor Tensions. Oh God, I was flat. Minor Tensions with Dick Whistler, and the episode is entitled "Blind Kids." It was inspired by an event. That's all I'm going to say. Check it out. You can find it on my YouTube channel, which, speaking of, I'm trying. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of this year, because once I get 100 subscribers, then I can finally claim a custom URL, which will then make it easier to share my fucking YouTube channel with other people, because I won't have to tell them to do what I'm about to tell you to do. If you don't know what my YouTube channel is, just go to YouTube, in the search bar, type in That Thing with James, and then my channel ought to be, probably will be, the top result. Click on it, hit subscribe, and thank you. That's free. That's free. It's not going to do you any harm. And I've got all sorts of good stuff there. I've got over 200 videos on my channel. Holy shit. Oh, what else? Reddit. I have a Reddit. Trust me, I'm just getting this business out of the way up front, because I don't know if people are going to listen to this show all the way through. I'm not so sure about the total quality of this episode. And frankly, I don't care. I've had too much coffee, too little food, too little sleep, and I've got zero fucks to give. But what you could do that I do give fucks about is shit posting. Come shit post on my subreddit. It is r/ThatThingWithJames. You can also see my other, mini web series and shorts on TikTok. My handle there is at TTWJ Productions. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. My handle on those two is at James J. Asher. You can email me, telling me, very nice things, and also, providing, ideas like questions you want me to answer on the show. If you're looking for advice on anything, I can give you answers. I can't guarantee they'll be good answers, or good advice, or if you have an idea for a topic for me to cover on an episode, in which I may have had more sleep and food and just a little bit less caffeine and edibles, you can email me at thatthingwithjames@gmail.com and, make life a little bit easier. Just, give a little. Patreon.com/thatthingwithjames. So, on to today's topic. After I take this sip of Waterloo sparkling water from Austin, Texas, today's flavor is grape. Great. Not my favorite, but I mean, for a grape-flavored sparkling water, Waterloo is the best quality that I've had. I just, even if it's great quality, I don't really fucks with grape drank. Perp, that's a different story, but that's not really grape flavor. So let me wet my whistle, and then we'll get into the thistle, whatever. Hold on. I was just wondering what I've just talked about. Anything in this podcast and in this show, is it interesting? Especially an episode like this one where I've really got nothing prepared. Is it interesting? And it occurs to me, once upon a time, I might have cared. But now, I, much like Phil Collins, don't care anymore. Wow. I'm just too fucking tired, dude. I got beat up. Life is, it's just so fucking much all the time. And I've got to figure out how to, cut myself some slack somewhere. So hopefully, what I do hope is that let me rephrase. I hope that my suffering entertains you. I want it to be entertaining to you. My self-effacement, is that the right word? I feel like it probably is. I tend to be smarter than I think I am sometimes. I just hope this is entertaining. I hope if you are having a shitty week, that maybe you come across this episode, or maybe if you're really cool, you just happen to tune in because you've been following this show anyway. Maybe you tune in and, hear what I have to say and think, wow, he's having a shit time too. This guy clearly does not have it together, and that makes me feel good. I want you to experience some, let's say, commiserable level of Schadenfreude. All right? I want that for you through this episode. So what I wanted to talk about is Korean movies and Indian movies and Japanese movies and Chinese movies. I've noticed something. So a couple nights ago, I was watching for the first time I think it's a Bong Bong Joon-ho, I think that's his name. It's the guy who made Parasite, the live action movie, not the anime. I haven't seen the anime. Parasite, one of my favorite movies. It was like an instant. I did not know. The movie's so fucking good. If you haven't seen Parasite, I cannot recommend it enough. Like, finish this podcast and then, subscribe at patreon.com and check out the bonus episode. And then once that's done, go watch Parasite and turn off your phone. Tell everyone to fuck off for like 2 hours or however long the movie is and just absorb the movie. It's so fucking good. But that same director, I believe it was the same director. It's got the same lead actor, the movie that this is what I'm talking about. I just, the hair on the back of my arm just barely brushed the bottom of my microphone, and it wiggled the wire, the USB wire, and so the mic fucking cut out. So, as I was saying, what I was getting to was I watched a Korean movie called The Host. And it's got the same lead actor as the one from Parasite. And while I was watching it, it was a good movie. While I was watching it, I remembered something that occurred to me perhaps a year prior. And that is the amount of physicality in Asian movies. I mean, like broad Asian, I don't know what's Asia Minor, whatever, major, whatever. From Indian movies to Japanese to Chinese to whatever else, I tend to notice when I watch these films from that part of the world, so on the almost opposite side of where I am, I notice that the actors are, and perhaps it's just the selection of movies that I watch, but the acting tends to be very good. But something I notice is that the acting has a lot more physicality, a lot more physical expression. Now, I don't just mean like contorting your face. I mean like full body expression, like very sort of animated. And so here's the short thing that occurred to me. Here's the short idea. It was that Asian movies and probably theater, I've noticed in Asian broad term movies, the acting tends to be have a lot more physicality than that in white movies, particularly European and American. And I think it's got something to do with Christianity. Well, yeah, hear me out. And this is something else it kind of relates to another topic that I thought of before, of like martial arts, Think of where a lot of different forms of martial arts, including yoga, come from. The quote unquote Far East or East, whatever. Well, why is that considered the East anyway? Why isn't that the West? Which way is actually north? Like, we're in fucking space. And which way? There is no up. There's no fucking up. Anyway, what am I getting at? Quote unquote, broad term, Asian movies have a lot more physicality, whereas white movies, white acting tends to be a lot more in your head. Now, it wasn't really always the case because how do I approach this? Say you are a kid, a high schooler, even in college, maybe even an adult, yet you have a very, I wouldn't say infantile, but a, let's say, adolescent idea of acting. And so you may think, well, here's some ideas I hear from very, very novice actors. Well, theater acting is very big, and then film acting is very small. That comes from the idea that when you're on stage, you have to make your expressions big and make your emotions big and make your voice big. And while, yeah, you do have to know how to use your voice, you don't really need to make things big. Like, this isn't the idea of, Shakespearean, hundreds of years ago acting where you go up, you strike a pose, you declare your lines, and then you walk off stage. Even back in the 1500s, that was still a contested topic because Shakespeare himself in Hamlet talks, when Hamlet is talking to the players who he's coaching on, like, how to basically play out what Hamlet perceives as what has happened to him in his life and what he intends to fucking do about it. He coaches the actors to not act so much. Don't fucking act so much. Just be real. Just talk like you talk. Just have a conversation. Just be and do. Acting isn't acting. Acting is doing. Look up the word act in the dictionary and you will see the performance of, or the execution of an action or of a thing, right? That's all acting is just doing. Acting is being and doing. So it's a really, I would say, underdeveloped, would be a nice way to put it, idea to think that, acting is, well, it's either big emotions and big movements or small emotions and being really subtle, but it's emoting and blah, 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 blah. It's also, I would say, a rather immature idea to think that, oh, you actually become your character. You don't. You're never anyone but yourself. And to think that you would be anyone but yourself is, well, frankly, it's schizophrenia. And I say that as someone who has actually lost themselves, not necessarily in a character, but in the moment. Like, if you're really in it, you actually... I've shared the story on here once before, like in an exercise in a Meisner class, I was convinced in the scene and broke down in a way that actually hurt my performance because I was unable to perform because I was so fucking beside myself. And then for an hour after class, I was convinced that my dad was dead, right? That, like, he had just died. But in reality, he hadn't. He hadn't. Something fucking happened. Like, I basically hypnotized myself. That's really, if you're really gonna, like, lose yourself in a character or something, it's sort of a self and collective, like interactive, like you and your partner. Hypnosis. You hypnotize each other, right? But that's all woo-woo stuff that you can't necessarily control. And this episode's not about how to act and the different ways to approach acting, but it is about what I've noticed is that, say in like the Korean movies I like to watch, there's a lot more physicality in the acting. And you watch it and you don't think, okay, that's physical acting. That's quote unquote external acting. You're not sitting there thinking that and thinking, okay, they're not really believing they're the character. They're not really feeling the emotions. They're just acting like they're feeling the emotions. No, it's nothing like that. It's excellent fucking acting. Yet it also incorporates a lot of physicality that somewhere in the United States, you would see as like a niche sort of feature, say like someone like Canadian Jim Carrey. He's known a lot. I mean, he's an excellent fucking actor. However, especially earlier in his film career, he was most known for his physicality. But that became like the little fetish piece of his performance. It's, oh, he can do faces and all this stuff. It becomes a certain character. It becomes very an advertised, highlighted feature of one's performance in the quote unquote West, right? When you have clowning and all this stuff. Whereas in the quote unquote East, at least from what I have observed in the many Asian broad term movies I've watched, it's a lot more physical. But it's nonetheless great fucking acting, like on par with like any fucking, Leo or, Leo DiCaprio, Daniel Day-Lewis, who the fuck ever. Like, it's just as fucking good. Yet also I noticed a lot more embodiment, the actor embodying their body more and expressing with the body more, If this were a different type of show, I would just like pull a clip from the movie I'm talking about, the host, and share it with you and sort of like break down exactly what I'm talking about. However, back to the point I made earlier, I wonder if part of this difference between East and West, with the ownership and articulation and expression with your whole body, I wonder if that has something to do with Christianity. And the reason I say Christianity is because a lot of different sects of Christianity feel that the body is bad. Reject the material world, and most certainly reject your body. So you get what happens, where do you have to go when you don't have a body anymore? You really get in your head. And we're going to dissect that more in the bonus episode. Bum, bum, bum. Go on over to patreon.com/ThatThingWithJames if you're interested in hearing more of my absolute conjecture about this topic, but I find it very interesting, and I actually do have more to say about this. And this is some stuff I actually studied. Like I got a degree in related things related to the topics I'm talking about, especially like Japanese theater versus old, or, compare and contrast with older European theater, so on and so forth. If this is something you're interested in, and I'm not going to be making like a fucking term paper about it, I'm just going to be riffing. But if you want to hear more, I encourage you, please help support the show and get access to the bonus episodes at patreon.com/ThatThingWithJames. And also go check out my comedy shorts on my YouTube channel and on my TikTok at TTWJ Productions. I can't help it. I'm sorry this episode was a mess. I'm just having a mess of a day. But I'm getting this out to you nonetheless. I love you. Hope to see you in the bonus episode. If not, I'll catch you next time. Bye.